And welcome to another episode of Craig Plays Games. I'm your host, Craig. Thank you guys for hanging out with us here today as we continue our dive through the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. We're still on the first game. This is our 26th video in the series as we are on episode 5. This is our 9th part of the episode 5 series of videos. Before we dive on into the story, let's go ahead and get our plugs on out of the way. You can find us here at YouTube at Craig Plays Games. Feel free to hit that like button if you are enjoying what we're doing. Hit that subscribe button up at the top if you want to be made become part of our family, and hit that notify bell if you want to be made aware when we go live with a new video. On average, we go live with a new video once per day between our exclusive YouTube playthrough series as well as our Twitch live streams. Over on Twitch, you can find us at Craig Plays Games, where we go live about 4 days out of the week, playing a multitude of games that are more online or multiplayer focused. If you hit that follow button over there, you can be made aware of when we go live with a new stream. Then you can come hang out with us, chat with us, be interactive with us in the channel and while we play a game. You can also find us over on Twitter at Craig Plays Games, where we post updates to our schedule as well as general commentary, and we are interactive over there as well. So if you follow us, shoot us over a tweet, we definitely will shoot you back a tweet as well. That being said, let's dive back into this game and what should be, I believe, our final video of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy game number 1. Last time out, we were in another trial courtroom scene and going through and kind of dissecting everything that happened with Gant and Emma Skye, coming to find out that her knocking Detective Marshall, Prosecutor Marshall, into the knight statue caused him to die as a knife went through his back. So kind of found out the truth around that, but also understand that there's still some more twists and turns before this story is all said and done. So let's go ahead and dive back in. We are at the district court in the lobby. All right, Edgeworth. Didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. Good job, Gumshoe. Wait, Gumshoe, what is it? I always look so sad. You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it Lana's having you run errands again? Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give this to you if there was a break in today's trial. It's a book of evidence law. Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. Ah, interesting. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right? Seems so. You could at least study some evidence law, really. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said if you're planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. Him. I'm guessing she means Gant. Guess I need to give this book a thorough read. Evidence law securely slipped into pocket. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong. Haven't you figured it out yet? Hold on, before we do that, let's go check out this book. Rule 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Rule 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. You know, for a book, it being like one whole page doesn't really make sense for it to be a book. Alright. Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Edgeworth. The real trial today hasn't begun yet. What else is there left to do? Your credibility has been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death, and now you're telling me you want to do more? You've got to be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're gonna expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. That's right, Phoenix. Let's do this. Alright, back in the courtroom. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Ms. Lana Skye. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. The inquiry committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news. Yes, well, Normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness, but... okay, what's wrong with you? This isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Edgeworth, may have struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses. I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. What? Yeah, I don't know, but this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. Then it's settled. The defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright, you do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls. The time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. I mean... It's Gant, right? Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. What does he have to do with anything? As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right. Bailiff, please escort Gant to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. Ooh, Edgeworth is feisty today. So, you want to play hardball, eh? Fine, my name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Acting? I don't remember them saying acting. Maybe I forgot something, I missed something. Now then, Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto, what's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Whoa. Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Is he, like, literally threatening me while he's on the stand in a courtroom? What kind of nonsense is this? Weapons? Sure, take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Was he the president of the United States? Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry, I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well, the witness may now begin his testimony. Witness testimony. As I recall, Neo and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. But the power outage didn't happen until after. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Oh, okay. As you say so. He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Dark bumped his head. I see. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. That's the truth. As I recall, Neo and I were questioning him that day. We're going to push him on everything. As I recall, a ceremony was held that day, right? Yes, that's right. I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neo was all fired up too. That's probably what spooked Dark and made him run away like that. Was the defendant also present in the room? I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Dark ran for it. Make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. So the two of you ran immediately after him? That's right, but Dark made it to the elevator first. So Neo and I split up. He went upstairs and I went downstairs. I guess you could say he got lucky. It was just about a power outage. Well, the elevator stopped all of a sudden and I got the shock of my life. Well, probably not as shocked as Neil was when that knife went into his heart, though. Okay. That's not funny. Definitely not funny. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Let's go back. Alright, push there. Could you tell us what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and that serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, all tangled together. Dark was also lying collapsed on the floor? Yes, apparently he hit his head and was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls, Lana and Emma. Lana was cradling Emma in her arms. Looking back at it now, she must have already known what her sister had done. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body had already been moved. So that means you found the body near Lana's desk? That's right. I think you said earlier it was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor? Yes. Anyway, as you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. So you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office? That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt, but moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances. Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good. If you're going to stare at anything, you better off staring at the court record, okay? But which piece of evidence ties Gant to the forgery? That's a great question. Lana did admit to forging evidence, but that can't be the whole truth. Somehow, I've got to link Gant to the incident. Alright. What can I present? I mean, we can present the evidence list. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery, but I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this list, for example. That's the list Emma drew her picture on. This was discovered in your desk. Not only that, but a piece of this jar that was sitting in your office was found inside your safe. It was found where? You see, Chief Gant? These articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in the legal investigation. Ba-bam! Wa-bam! Bam! 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 Gant, what's the meaning of this? Oh, here's a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery? Who, me? Or do you mean you? What? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know? Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy, not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? If Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office and the relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My, kids these days no longer know how to put two and two together. Witness testimony. Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. They were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Yeah, sure. When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand that I am the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Indeed, I believe I will press charges so you won't make the same mistake again. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. Alright, in return though. I know. That place, right? What is going on? Cross-examination. Alright, time to push him some more. I'd appreciate it if you stopped making these ridiculous allegations. Yes, you do have a point. You wouldn't have the guts to do something like that. What? I'll have you know, back in the day, I once broke into a cattle ranch and tipped. Anyway, you can't prove you didn't carry in the evidence, can you? If we have proof to the contrary, you're going to need it later. Later? What are you talking about? What else? I'm talking about when Righto's prints are found. Yes, if they're found inside my safe, they would prove his investigation was illegal. I've never faced anyone as slimy as this guy. No kidding. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. What do you mean by that? This is all purely hypothetical, of course, but suppose I did place those items in my safe. Such an act wouldn't necessarily constitute forgery. If concealing evidence found at a crime scene isn't forgery, I'm not through speaking yet. It all depends on when the evidence was discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in a forgery. How can you look me in the eye and say that? Because I'm innocent. Remember? Who was it that murdered Neil? I'm not sure I care for the word murder here. But in the end, the person responsible for Mr. Marshall's unfortunate demise was Emma Skye. Well, now do you see? Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Really? At the very least, there is one very large benefit you've reaped from all of this. Oh? I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? That would, of course, be the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh. The resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion. That in itself is sufficient motive. That's a good one. What? Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little. Is that true? Yes, he was going to be made chief anyway. Be careful when pointing that finger. You might wind up being the one pointed at. So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Don't be silly. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out in the open now. Would you mind if I change my testimony a little? By all means, please do. I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Push in there. Nothing in it for you? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl? Alana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you'd better think again. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Ho, ho, ho. That's a good one. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? Point out accomplice. Sure, you might not help out anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone. Right? Appears you've positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. Definitely not what we meant. Very well then. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped to forge evidence? I mean, that was pretty simple. That's Lana. The defendant? I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister? And as for Gant, he would also have reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit. What do you mean? After the SO9 incident was resolved, Lana was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Gant. How would you profit from all of this? You would be able to use the chief prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations. You need me to tell me that despite the chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Oh, this judge is like painfully unintelligent. Oh wait, you must mean, okay. Admit it, Chief, you assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive, to appoint her as chief prosecutor so you could control her. Right, oh my boy, you have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What, do you have any proof of this, that I controlled her? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? Lana, she's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant. I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture. Unless that is also what happened in this incident. This incident? Which one would that be? Of course I'm talking about Goodman's murder. The chief prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial, almost as if someone has been controlling her. Worthy, you better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. What? Just what do you mean, exactly? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, the Chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. What? Order, order, order. I said order. Right? You can't be serious. Huh? This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. You realize like this whole entire system has like been corrupt like every step of the way. Forging evidence, previous trials we've seen prosecutors just kill people. Like this is exactly like what this court system has been doing the entire time. Accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder? That's impossible. I don't think so. Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Edgeworth said in easier to understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. Looks like he's the one who decided to go through with this. Yeah. Can you prove this? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder? Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. Let's see. Alright then. Let's see what Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us this evidence that ties Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman. What? I don't know I have that. Let's see. Oh, let's try the ID card record. This is the ID card list, yes. The one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. It's your number. What? How do you know that? The safe in Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 777-7777, the same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. That you did. Order. Gant, what do you have to say? Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations, and I would demand Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card. Gant, so you admit it. You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime? What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days? Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Goodman. What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana's guilt. Not anymore. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing: what transpired during that meeting. In that case, Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us proof that the victim went to meet Gant on the day of the crime. Golly. Let's see. What do I have? Let's see. What do we have? Let's see. Allegedly dancing in the evidence room. Autopsy? Detective Goodman had to go see Gant. The court is waiting. Okay. Why don't you come meet with me tomorrow? Perhaps we could write up your letter of termination. I don't even work for you. In that case, right, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us the proof. Okay. Did he have to go? Did he go for the ceremony, maybe? Let's see. Who gave him evidence from a past case of Edgeworth brought back to his office at Gant's request? Didn't Goodman bring him that? Can't remember now. Okay. There's one thing that calls out Chief specifically, and that's the lost item report. Lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the chief of police. Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. That's right. Transfer the evidence out. Oh. Goodman took the form to you, Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him? There's no other way the murderer and Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the chief of police, murdered Goodman. Exactly. But wait. The chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it. Really. Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If he had really lent it to Goodman, it would have been found on his body. Whoa. He like basically exploded on our screen. Gant, you didn't. The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Alana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, right? That the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office's parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know, and everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was a useless clue just taking up space. How could the chief have moved the body? That's alright, show us this evidence. To move the victim's body, can't use this. He used the screwdriver. This is how he moved body. What's that? A screwdriver? What does that have to do with this case? Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is the screwdriver doing here? It's here because Gant wanted it. I was asked to go by Gant, no less. Yep. He told me he wanted me to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. Exactly. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office, but you did, because Gant asked you to. The body was found in the trunk of Edward's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Edward's car. Yes. Unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Edward to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Lana Skye. What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? Think back to the photograph Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It's a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Gant, please say something. I believe your time's up. Sorry, Righto, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're going to make it in time for the early bird special. No. The cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier? The police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now. That is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh. I stabbed old Goodman, that's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with. Say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This cohort would not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Your Honor, do you have any concrete proof that Gant murdered Goodman and made Sky dispose of his body? Do I have any? Not yet. No, you're showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor, at present I have no conclusive evidence. In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. What? Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Righto. Seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. I'll leave the rest to you. I warned you earlier. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency. Lady Luck? Maybe we should have a word with her. Edgeworth, what do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth, another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else, one more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room. Edgeworth, who is this person? Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today. Right? Does such a witness exist? She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor, the defense calls forth Lana Sky. She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task? To dispose of the victim's body. In accordance with a certain someone's orders. Edgeworth? The prosecution has no objections. Very well, the court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we will reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in... Hold on. Huh? Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat. Listen good, Lana. What? Don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Marshall's murder. What? Of course, you'd never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then, I got a lunch date to meet. Okay, if there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess. Now back in the lobby. Looks like we managed to stay in the game. Yeah, thanks to your help. That chief, he's something else, pals? You're right, Gumshoe. I'm not a detective anymore. Yeah, sorry about that. Oh, don't worry. I've already decided where to work now. At your office. My office? Sure, I'll take the place of that top-knotted girl you used to work with. You mean Maya? Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Gant's done it again. How is it he always gets the upper hand? It's not fair he has a right to refuse to testify. Settle down. Remember what the judge said. Chief, that is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. Risks? What does he mean by that? It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, the opposite also holds true. You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? Who is that? Emma. Emma, are you okay? Yeah. When I came to you, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery. So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before. No, don't be. It was the truth. You know what's funny? I almost feel somehow relieved. Relieved? Yeah. Now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. She did it all just to protect me. Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her said she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders. She must have shut herself up deep inside to force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do. That must be why she became so cold. It's all my fault. It's all because I murdered Marshall. Don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, pal. Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. Remember now, I knocked him into that armor. Well, we better get back. It's time for the final act. Emma, why don't you wait? No, I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth. Let's go, right? It's time to end this. To be continued. Well, you know what? We're not going to stop this story. Let's go ahead and finish this up right here, right now. Alright, let's go ahead and save our game now. As we wrap up this Crazy, crazy story. Alright. Back in the courtroom. Now then, will the defendant, Ms. Lana Skye, please take the stand? Ms. Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you. But Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years. Please provide the court with your testimony, Ms. Skye, and remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth. Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister. That's nice. Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with Chief Gant. Everything hinges on this testimony. No kidding. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. Alright, let's bust this dude. Witness testimony. I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I arranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. Are you sure about this testimony? Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana! If this is true, then that means Gant has nothing to do with this. Good job, Judge. That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me. But what if she's telling the truth? She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself. Come on, Phoenix, let's get this done. Defense may now begin is cross-examination. Cross-examination. Worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. Alright, push here. Think about it, Miss Skye. You didn't murder Goodman. You told me as much yesterday in jail. You still don't get it, do you? Any testimony you cannot present in court is as useless as idle gossip. I stabbed Goodman with a knife. And I fabricated evidence 2 years old. Let's push there. Did you do so to help your sister? Dark was a serial killer. My sister almost became his last victim that day. I didn't want that incident to ruin her life. But what she did was self-defense. No kidding. She wouldn't have been charged with anything. That's not the point. She was traumatized that day, all because of that creep. That's why I couldn't forgive him. So that's why you fabricated the evidence? When I found his body, I rearranged the crime scene. Push here. You say you did this all by yourself? Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the crime scene? Seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken Prosecutor Ward knife was stuck in the victim's body. What? But Marshall died from an unfortunate accident. That's the only situation you dreamed was possible. Reality is, it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Criticize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement. You mean Marshall wound up being killed by Dark? Something like that. If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Dark was carrying a switchblade knife. Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle. That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up everything. All just to protect you. So when you found this thing like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body. And then you move the body? Come on now. But why? Why would you do that? You of all people should know. You've always had a good head on your shoulders. My head isn't that bad. I'm gonna ask for the sake of the others. Why did you plant the knife? Mr. Wright. Even you should be able to figure it out. Very well, let's add this to the testimony. The reason Sky fabricated the knife. The tip of the weapon found buried in his body. My motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma. I said pushing some more. According to your testimony, Marshall's broken knife was the murder weapon, right? Yes, and leaving it at that might point the blame away from Dark. I felt the most effective way to get him convicted would be by having the tip of his knife found inside the victim's body. Were you buried it inside the victim's stab wound? Yes, because I hated Dark for what he did. And one motivation was to get Dark convicted. Let's push here. So you rearranged the crime scene. Are you sure you didn't do this to keep Emma from looking like a murderer? How many times did I have to tell you? Emma didn't do it. Are you so desperate to hide that fact? You run the risk that someone else was lying. In any case, as a prosecutor, what I've done is unpardonable. There's nothing I can do to make up for my actions. Right, my sister's lying. Looks like she's determined to break you in the end. She says she fabricated evidence by herself. There's no way she could have done it by herself. She's lying. I'll go on 7 years. Still. How many years? Let's see, it's 24, so that'll be 5 years. Gant and Sky were legendary partners. I personally saw them testify in numerous cases. She must be good, coming from the same school as me. Gant was a respected detective, that's why. There's no truth to this blackmail for me. I fabricated evidence 2 years all by myself. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife and then inside the room and in his body. Sure. Dark was a serial killer, my sister. Okay. What she do is do all this. Testimony. Yes, push. Because there's another question attached to this one. I just found your desk. How did you move it there? It's very simple. Body. Piece of the jar that shattered in the events that piece of the jar, you mean? Yes. In order to show that Dark committed a crime, I thought it would be more expedient to move the body. So when we first found the body, the jar was already... Of course, it shattered to pieces. Looking at the crime scene, it would be clear right away what happened. Marshall was dead and Dark was lying unconscious. In other words, the jar must have been broken during the struggle. Matter, Emma. Apparently the jar was shattered at the time the crime was committed. But I have a feeling there is more to it than that. Anyway, I committed this fabrication completely alone. My only motivation was to get Dark of the plan, nothing more than that. Piece of the jar that shattered in the events threatened my plan. Sure. Pieces of the jar? You mean, yes, that's the... Pieces. Clear out what happened. Marshall was dead and Dark was unconscious. What's the matter? Apparently the jar shattered at the time the crime was committed, but I think there's more to it than that. I understand how you feel. crammed 2 years ago to protect your sister. In the forgery at the scene, if that true were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I'm compelled to bring everyone's attention. Significant contradiction within your testimony. Contradiction of testimony. You testify, and I quote, the pieces of the jar that shadowed the end of the events during my plan. That's right. No problem with that. It's simple, so really. See, a message is written outside this jar with the victim's blood. Rescue must have written in his final moments. Exactly so, and this is where the contradiction lies. It's not even broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shadow jar. Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regards to this jar. And it is a bloody message. And it may something critical here. Critical. Prosecutor seems you're in the dark as we are, or the truth towards which we're headed. Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth. Here, while the witness may now continue her testimony. Witness testimony. Notice the blood traces on the jar, darkened the room, and I didn't have time to check it out. Keep it safe, wiped away the blood. Fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence. Very well, the defense may now begin cross-examination. Cross-examination. Immediately noticed the blood on the jar. It was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. Safe, I wiped away the blood. Fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered. You didn't know your sister's name was written on the jar? No. If I had known, I would have gathered all the pieces and ground them to dust. Alright, you do that for me? It seems you time to make up yet. Anyway, I just barely had enough time to move the body as it was. Someone had seen this one in a hurry. I need to show evidence before. It's rather shocking. Safe to look at the blood. Let's go push here. I'm afraid this action of you reveals what really happened. If you really thought Dark killed Marshall, you wouldn't have wiped away the blood. What else could I have done in this situation? I only had a few moments, so I had enough time for me to do anything else but gather up the pieces. Fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. Now, how could you see with the power out? It should have been pitch black. I guess it was always prepared. Even now, I was carrying a pocket light and a camera with me. Even I carry a bottle of emergency light on me. You're weird. Never missed anything, got every last piece. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they discovered. Crime scene? Yes. So sorry. I treated you so badly. It's time. It's not too late. There's still plenty of time to make it up. Let's get to the bottom of this thing. No doubt this day will leave a permanent stain. Yada yada yada. More contradictions I've suffered. Her testimony, your sister's really amplified. She must really care about you. I think I finally figured out the contradiction of testimonies. There's one final possibility that might turn everything around. Judge, back up. I'll cut you. You're an ace detective and you're a mistake killed. You're responsible to investigate what was written on the jar. Normally I would have, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. Everything thought it was. The witness's statement is clearly faulty. This jar conceals a truth that you are unaware of. Found the final piece of this jar again safe.
safe, but how? I knew it, she didn't really know. There was still blood in it. Boy, just test blood that you gathered every last piece and wipe the blood off of them. That's what leads us for more information. The night Marshall was murdered, you were not the first to show up on the scene. Gang got there before you. The advance of investigation. Pieces are too big for me. The man's let alone and makes it tough. Never makes mistakes, even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were not alone. This person's a judge. Come on now. This witness already seen the jar was already broken. There's no way a name could have been written on a shattered jar. The other person discovered the scene prior to the witness. Not playing this person was scam. At the time, he was looking for blood upstairs. The question is, if he did arrive when they first, why did he hide that fact? Let's get started. Oh, Your Honor, can you answer us that? The judge is about to run into breakdown. Wait, I'm not the one on trial here. No kidding, Judge. Can't arrive at the crime scene prior to the witnesses. He proceeded to break the jar and purposely hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence. A lot of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear? What happened afterwards? The witnessing Lana believed her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Dark. And therein lies the reason why Sky became the chief's puppet. I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. You did it, man. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. I believe anything that it says. The defense attorneys make up the most valuable lies that defend their clients. Not lies. Yeah, coming from my own client. No kidding. I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth. What? Seriously? Wait a minute. Whatever. Maybe right after all. What do you mean? Retail file lies then? Sky, please testify once more. Evidence was fabricated behind your back. That Emma's accident killing him. Marshall might also be. You know, knocking him over. Sky, if you will. There's nothing to do, afraid. This fascination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth. Very well, I'll testify about what I really saw. Alright, this witness may testify once more for the final time. You arrived, found his body impaled on a suit of armor sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. I saw what had happened. I thought she did it. That's why we erased all the evidence that linked to the murder. That had Gant help remove the body from the sword to carry it, but if it all really was a fabrication, you might be innocent. Unbelievable. The body was impaled on an armed sword? You're the only one who saw that. If only you had proof. Actually, I do have some proof. I gave it to Miss Wright just this morning. What? To me? It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. Thought it might be needed. But I don't remember seeing a picture like that. Lana must have known. See, Miss Wright? She really does have faith in you. And I said she gave it to you this morning, right? I seem to remember getting something from her then. Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture of her somewhere. Let's see. Give us the evidence logbook. There's a picture. This is the actual crime scene. No other detective saw the crime scene like this. didn't know fair only after I had rearranged everything. This picture inserted to the court record. Mr. Wright, a piece cut out from his vest. Could that be coffee found inside? Safe. This look like this is a handprint, isn't it? But those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma. Why are your lips turning all purple, Mr. Wright? Wait, let's go on with the cross-examination. As long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flesh out the real murderer. Very well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Cross-examination. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor. Where did Gant come from? Come now, Edgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen. What, now you want to make me out as a bad guy too? So, I'd like to put a word or two in my defense. I'm afraid it's too late for that. What? You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. You sit back and relax and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck. Oh, snap. Oh, the heck? You get electrocuted by Pikachu or something? Calm down, dude. Think I'm worried? You should be. Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements. What do you mean? The evidence would do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence. That's true. You still have some conclusive evidence? No, I don't, but someone does. Someone? So what's your excuse, Righto? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Marshall, causing his death? Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt? I mean, conclusive doubt? That's a good question. Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. If you try to conceal anything, you'll be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries. Better carefully think this through. That's the truth. Show evidence or cannot show evidence? I think we can't show it yet. It's too soon. I don't have any evidence to present at this time. What? You lie. Gant? You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence. I don't know what you're talking about. Why don't you show them? We found it together. Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it. What are you talking about, Gant? Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area? Looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason. You mean you had this in your safe? That means you, the chief of police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department. Man, this justice system's a little cracked here. Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Righto. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened. What? You mean to admit it to it? Because I can talk today. I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana. I knew Lana, if I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene she would ask me for my aid. So you assisted? I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room. I ended up using that evidence to get Dark convicted. When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid two pieces of evidence that was before Lana arrived at the scene. 2 pieces. You mean those items in your safe? Why? For insurance, of course. Insurance? I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed. You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence? What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police chief by dumb luck. Well, you may have. See this jar fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces. But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar too? Ho ho ho. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance. You mean that piece of cloth? Come on, Righto, cough it up already. I know you have it. What are you waiting for? So you admit to it then? That you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe? Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. That's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer. Well, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present. Foolish move. You should have shown it then before it was too late. It's been a long battle. But the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Time to show that evidence. Your Honor, you have evidence to present now. Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. Evidence that shows who actually murdered Professor Marshall. A piece of cloth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest. Oh yes, at last, you finally brought it out into the open. Just one problem. Prosecution requests that be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly. I mean, it could not have been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence. There it is. You're as low on the uptake as ever, worthy. What? Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be? I mean, you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? You do. Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they? They're not the real murderer. Very well, I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything is proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is... this guy. Yep, I'm yours. Why didn't I tell you? Wow, look at that sad face you just gave me. Ho ho ho. Oh, you're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along, and you still try to pin the murder on me. Oh, Gant. Gant. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall. You monster. This guy. You knew whose fingerprints those were all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. There you go. It's not over yet. Oh, snap. I said this trial isn't over yet. But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only the trial, but your career, too. You purposely concealed this evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I have some trouble doing that. Aren't you going to tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer? Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up. And what's that? Who really killed Marshall? Boom! Gant, you are absolutely right. The piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Marshall, you ask? No, Judge. Keep up. I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction. Contradiction? What is this fool babbling about? I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is. Who's the real killer? This piece of cloth. What could it possibly contradict? Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Snap, crackle, pop. A piece of evidence that contradicts the cloth. The picture. There's a whole lot of blood there, but not on that piece of vest. Exactly as it's supposed to be. Picture Skytoe. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out? His shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest, though. Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs, no doubt, were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth. Piece of cloth. Dry as a bone. Since Emma's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt that she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time. This is nonsense. Now then, Gant, let me ask you something. Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. So then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Ms. Lana Skye picked up the unconscious prosecutor and impaled him on the armor's sword? then to make it look like Emma was responsible for the death. Said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood, a jar that they broke on purpose to leave behind a clue, and make Lana believe her sister did it. What's wrong? Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Through the very act of creating insurance, you prove that you were the actual murderer. Wrecked. It's finally all over. Yep. Gotcha. Alright, but you have to do better than that or refute your allegations. You refute them. You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence. Where is it now? What nonsense is this? Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Udgy? Earlier, old Righto here concealed that piece of cloth. Your excuse. You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you? It's true, the defense did refuse to present evidence. At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence. That's not fair. Did you actually think you could best me in court? Looks like the last laugh's on you, son. Is it though? Is it really? I'm afraid his claim is legally correct. Legal evidence cannot be used to convict a person. Assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal. Seems, at last, the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived. That you purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth? I did not. The refuse were presented at one point. I'm not done. It's not that I didn't present evidence then, it's that I couldn't. There are certain procedures involved in presenting evidence. Don't listen to his lies, he's nothing but a coward, you can't really believe. Hush. There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not? Very well, let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of law, then do so now. Check out this handy little book. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. I think that second rule definitely helps us out here. What's this? I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma's fingerprints were on the piece of cloth. At the point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside yourself. Rule 2. See, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the incident. Just take one look at this picture and... Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented? He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Oh, this is so good. Yep. Wrecked. One person who could have cut it from the vest is the one who stood before Marshall in his final moments. And the person that could be, Damon Gant, the killer was you. Boom. I lost it. Seriously, lost it. Seriously. Too good for Cocoa Puffs. I knew I should have got rid of him. That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me. Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty. He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then Bruce Goodman. Goodman? Please, you gotta help me. Goodman turned him down, as he ought to. Still, Marshall didn't know when to quit. He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence. Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. And all of a sudden, he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman? Can you please reopen the investigation? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered. He opened the evidence. I handed it all over to Marshall. Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it, that accursed knife. You couldn't just pull it out. Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it near impossible to hide your crime. Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake. The bloody handprint. It used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing... Can you put the body in my car? I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will. Seriously. Leaving the car aside, how could you get Miss Guy involved in all of this? Well, she had as much to lose as I did if the truth came out. So you took the evidence from Goodman's locker? I felt bad for having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take. So, you left the jar fragments in the glove. Yeah, looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer. No kidding, dude. Murdered 2 people. They all did their best to get in my way. I'm glad I handed it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay. Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that. Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court? Me? You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. Wow. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you go it alone. That's something to say. Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Edgy? What? Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend. I don't think I want to hang out with a murderer anyways. I'm sorry, too. I knew you as you used to be long ago. You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you're no longer that person. Those days are gone now. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Righto here, and Worthy. With these 2 around, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning. There are 2 things I want you to understand. Yes, first, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years, from the time I had Gant help me forge evidence, up until today. It seems all the questions raised in this trial have been answered. I'm sorry, I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. What high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows, a few years from now, you just might make it to the top. Oh, look at that smile. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Guy, and to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you. It was nothing. Oh, Edgeworth. I was worried the pressure might break you, and yet you rose above it all and guided right to victory. You've done well, Edgeworth. Stop it. I only did my job. Seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Guy, you're innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact is you still acted as his accomplice. Trial will be scheduled for those crimes at a later date. I understand, Your Honor. Is there something amusing about all this? Why are you smiling? It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, not guilty. I get pretty good at this. I still am so confused. What courtroom has confetti? That is all. The court is adjourned. Back in the lobby. Definitely over. Oh, she looks so sad. Why the long face? I'm sorry your sister didn't get completely off the hook, but at least she wasn't convicted for a murder she didn't commit. That's not it, just now. Until the trial ended. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. I owe you my thanks. And to you too, Edgeworth. You've suffered every bit. Yeah, we just saw this. You know, I did my best too, but Lana didn't say a single word to me. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, I guess I am. I'll come back later. Get back over here. Ridiculous. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Making a detective run all around while on duty, and to top it off, you call me here? I've seen happier people at funerals. Are you serious again? Hey, lighten up, pals. I'm only kidding. Oh, are you here because of my sister again? Nope. Not this time. I came today because of you, pal. That's right. I thought you'd like to see someone. What is she? What? Lana. Should she be doing this? She's still under arrest, you know. Well, I won't tell if you won't. What? There's like officers right there. That day 2 years ago. It was the first time in my life I ever panicked. It was all I could do to keep myself from screaming. All I could think about was keeping you from getting wrapped up in that mess. And once again, self-defense. Seriously. I asked Gant to help me cover up the truth. I thought I was doing it for your sake. But now, I realize I was wrong. I changed after that day. I had to. It was the only way I could make it through the past 2 years. I knew how much I was hurting you by distancing myself, but I couldn't bring myself to tell you what I did. I was scared. Scared that you'd look at me with those eyes of yours. I was scared of how you'd react if you knew. Sis, you're only doing it for me. No. What? I turned my back on you that day. And hiding what I believed to be the truth, I was deceiving you. I'm such a fool. It took me all this time to realize it. Emma, I'm so sorry. Sis, you don't have to apologize. I'm happy now. You're happy? Of course. You know, sis. I always knew that one day you'd come back, and now you have. Oh, Emma. Emma. No one can change the past. The only thing we can do is strive to make up for our mistakes. Why must we make up for our mistakes, you ask? Because in doing so, we can find the way back to our rightful path, and it is from there that we can move on toward a brighter future. That's some heavy stuff to end. At least that's what I felt watching the two sisters make up. Mr. Wright, Mr. Gumshoe, thank you both for all that you've done. I'm sure we'll meet again someday. Isn't that right, Edgeworth? Stop hiding and come over here. Golly, Edgeworth, such a creeper. Should be a lot happier. Why was he hiding? That's a great question. Just came to say, congratulations. I mean, I bested you again. Just saying. Thank you. Thank you, Edgeworth. Right. Well, I'll be going now. What? Stop it. Edgeworth, I hope you don't blame yourself for what happened. We were the ones who acted corruptly, not you. It's too late for me. No matter what anyone may say, I realize today that I can't correct my mistakes. Not only that, but I don't even trust myself anymore. Gant was right. No, Gant was trying to be a jerk. Come on now. I do despise criminals. I plan to dedicate my entire life to fighting them, but in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. It's scary, but I've known that to be true for quite some time now. Edgeworth, who knows, given enough time, I might have tried to pull something like Gant did. That thought terrifies me. That's why I can't continue on as a prosecutor. Don't you understand? Damon Gant and your mentor, Von Karma, were both the best of the best when it came to fighting crime, but they both made the same mistake. You said, in order to fight crime on my own, I'd need a weapon. That may be true, but think back to today's trial. You weren't alone. You were working together with Wright. And because of that partnership, you were able to present evidence that otherwise would have gone undiscovered. Isn't that right? What? It's a pop quiz. Come on, Mr. Wright. Show him what Lana's talking about. Evidence, huh? Something that neither Edgeworth nor I would have been able to find on our own. Evidence list. That's the picture I drew. Our counterattack began with this. You had one half and I had the other. Part we wouldn't have been able to completely restore Emma's picture. It didn't just happen by chance. It's time for me to go. Yes. Edgeworth, if you'll excuse me, there are still some loose ends that need wrapping up. Take care, Chief Prosecutor. Edgeworth, what will you do now? Well, whatever you do, just remember, you can let what happened kill the prosecutor in you, or you can let it help you grow. The end is up to you. I know. Seems I owe you my thanks too, right? What I face now is my problem. Edgeworth, I'll be waiting for you in court. Farewell. I better be going too. Okay, but I'll be by to visit soon. It seems we both have a lot to learn and catching up to do. Here, this is a little something for you. Scientific investigation. It's the first book I ever bought. Study it well. Thanks, sis. I will. I guess you became a lawyer without going to law school. I guess you went to law school, right? And so another case to a close. As for the sisters, I have faith. Faith that their lives have only just begun. For me, I think it's time I started a journey of my own. A journey to rediscover myself. Well, don't go trekking off just yet, pal. What is it? There's just a little matter to be resolved by the chief prosecutor. You see, she isn't supposed to be out of jail like this, but I thought you said it was okay. Yeah, well, maybe okay with me, but the folks at the prison are a different story. What? Basically, I had to bribe a guard in order to sneak her out for 30 minutes. Believe me, it wasn't cheap either. Well, way to go, detective. I didn't know you had a wild side. Yeah, well, you see, right here is the one who'll be footing the bill. Excuse me? You think I can afford this on my salary? You gotta be kidding me. Huh? What's going on? I sound like I want to scream. Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we all go pay it off together? Yeah, that's a great idea. Come on, guys. Let's go. Objection! Man, that is another one here in the books at Craig Plays Games. And we have wrapped up the first game in the series. I arranged for a friend of mine in Europe to take care of Emma. Okay, hope she'll be pleased to study under a top corner. As for me, this affair has pretty much ended my days at the prosecutor's office. Still, I'll manage to find my way back to the field somehow. So, I guess then I'll be able to investigate crimes together with Emma. I guess Lana is going to be probably popping back up in a story sometime soon. We go for these credits, and I guess it's going to tell us a little bit of what is happening with everybody after this case. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, so finishing up the first episode here of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. Yikes, I thought I was a goner for a moment there. In the end, though, they overlooked my unauthorized investigation at the chief's office. If we penalized you anymore, it'd be worse than firing you. Yep, that's what they said. It just goes to show, you can't shake me off that easily. You're something. So tomorrow, we will have a new video up, and we are diving deep into Wolfenstein The New Order, followed by Wolfenstein The New Colossus, and then finally wrapping it up with Wolfenstein Youngblood, once that comes out on the 26th of July. After that, we're going to dive into Borderlands 2. Oh, we got more updates. Oh, it's Meekins. My new mission is to guard the main entrance and take care of Billy. Can you believe it? I've been demoted to a security guard. My partner's keeping an eye on the entrance for me today. I'll show them, though. Someday I'm going to make detective. Yes, sir. Then I can just be like that Dick Gumshoe. Alrighty then. So as I was saying before, Borderlands 2 is next. After that, Borderlands 3, which comes out in September. Then we'll play Shenmue 1 and 2 for October, as well as Doom, as we gear up for... Oh, 1 second. Okay. Oh, don't need you dancing. As we gear up for Shenmue 3 and Doom Eternal, which comes out in November. So we got the rest of the year pretty much booked up with a bunch of stuff happening. So we'll go ahead and get our plugs on out of the way. If you enjoyed the video you just checked out, feel free to hit that like button and then hit that subscribe button up at the top if you want to show us some love. And hit that notify bell if you want to be made aware when we go live with a new video. On average, we are uploading a new video every single day between our Twitch live stream and our YouTube playthroughs. What is it? Can't you see I'm having me a showdown? Miss Star managed to sneak this into me. She's seeing one of the guards, it seems. Well, cowboy, it looks like you did it. You even gave Bambina back her smile. Can you make sure Billy and the gang get their water? Alrighty then. Over on Twitch, we're live 3 to 4 times out of the week. We hit affiliate status, which is really exciting. So come hang out with us if you hit that notify bell. Oh, 1 second. Looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while. As a farewell gift, I put a new meal on the menu. The Right Way Lunch. The top layer tastes as bitter as defeat, but the bottom layer is as sweet as victory. Interesting. Kids seem to dig the turnabout theme. The hot seller around exam time. Just make sure not to eat it backwards. Weird. So follow us over on Twitch, and then when we go live, you can come hang out with us. We want to chat with you guys. It's designed to be interactive. We want to hang out with you as we play the different games we're playing. Destiny 2, Apex Legends, God of War. What's going on with Judgy? I'll never forget what that young defense lawyer said after the trial. Let's see. What was his name again? Mr. Left? Really? Anyway, he said he's been doing something or other for, how many years? Well, anyway, I've got another trial to get to, so I'd better be... Huh? Oh, no. I forgot my gavel. Oh, my goodness. That judge is something else, that's for sure. But, yeah, so hang out with us on Twitch, and then you can find us on Twitter and Instagram, Craig Plays Games. Follow us on both of those. If you comment on our post or tweet at us, we definitely will respond to you. And have a good time hanging out with you guys. Oh, look at you, Maya. Nothing soothes the soul like fresh country air. Still, sometimes I do miss hearing you in your objection. Still, I can't go back until I'm a full-fledged spirit medium. Mystic Maya, afternoon training is about to begin. Coming! Well, see you around, Nick. So, but yeah, come and hang out with us. We love seeing this community grow and really build the right way, I think. Really just connecting with everybody and really building that family, like I like to call it. So we're just finishing up the credits here, seeing if anything else before we wrap up here at Craig Plays Games. A lot of credits now. Oh, Edgeworth's office. Edgeworth. What are you doing here? I brought you your tea. What's going on? Weird. More credits. Hope you enjoyed this series, and we're really excited to dive deep in with you with the Wolfenstein series next. There's Emma. Thanks for coming to see me off. I can't believe I'm going to Europe. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a little sad, but I'll be alright. Whenever I want to see Lana, all I have to do is open this book. That's nice. What's the deal with this book? It's a letter. Oh, a picture of the two of them. That's really sweet. Man, back in the day. Well, I think this probably will wrap it up here at Craig Plays Games. thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for making all this a possibility. You guys, best community. I couldn't be happier or prouder of you guys, and you guys continue to make dreams into realities. I can't thank you enough. Please invite your friends, invite your family. Let's continue to have a good old time, and we'll see you here next time at Craig Plays Games.